hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I am your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled you're here. Got a little hiss on my line here, but I'm not sure. It looks like it's gone now. Okay, we are good to go. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal once again. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and special thanks to the Freaky Friday guys. Great show. I'd love to hear more about that video game. That's really got me really curious as well what the hell's going on, but if you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us now, check out the rebroadcast of Freaky Friday on tfrlive.com. You can go to On Demand and buy show and check out Freaky Friday. They just covered a really interesting bunch of information regarding video games and possibly linked into MK Ultra and stuff. Just really, really fascinating topics and kind of frightening, a lot frightening actually, but welcome to the show. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. It's Friday. You're in the end zone now, so you can do your dance and unwind, and I'm just absolutely thrilled that you're spending part of your Friday evening right here with me. I just feel all kinds of special. So I'm hearing that my mic is low, but I don't know why. I'm jacked up, but I can go up a little bit higher. I hope you guys are hearing me okay. Just let me know. In the YouTube chat, you let me know, and in the TFR chat as well, if you'd let me know. Hey, Brett Phillips, good to see you in TFR. Dawn's to you too. Ken is in there, and Bam is in there, and I'm just going through the chats as they happen. But who else is here? TFR Wookie's in there. Joe Joseph's in there. DJ Caveman, Nancy Lalonde. What is this? Avoidance. Nice to see Avoidance. Angels Vortex, Sphinx, One Links, Brett Phillips, Daryl Bowles, Epic Journeyman, and I heard Epic on the last show. That was cool, really cool call in. Psycho Dave, Trudy Glenn, Bison is in here. That's a cool name. I like that name. Forest Advisor and TC Hawk, or something like that. Very cool, guys. Thanks for being in. Those of you on. Oh, I love you too, man. Those of you on the TFR chat site. I know the YouTube's still filling up, so let's see. I've noticed that and I've said it before on many of the shows on our YouTube feed only, but I suppose I should say it now as we're attached to the networks. But as a host, in the YouTube, you get this list that you can look at the participants, but Don and I have been comparing notes, and he and I get a similar list each, but it's not comprehensive and it's not complete. So if I don't announce you on the show, I do apologize. But what do I have now? I got Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, Billy Monster, Julia is in there. What is this? Oh, Cade Shipley, I think. Haxer's in there. Hollywood. Kenneth Christian, good to see you guys. Lewis is in there. MCAT. Pam Edgerton, I'm in there. Quicko Reed is in there. Sphinx Silinx is in there. Zero Mind, and looks like Don's checking it out too. I know he's probably just squeezing in an appearance here, but good to see you all. Thank you guys all for joining us. Again, if I've missed you, it's because, well, the YouTube list sucks. So What do you do? But tonight I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about, the weather's warming up. We're all getting geared up for that, getting the hell out of the house and going and absorbing some vitamin D from the sun and also getting away from our urban prisons for the last 6 months and heading towards the wild places, getting out in the woods. And a lot of times we think about going to the woods. In the paranormal field, we mostly think about cryptids. We're mostly thinking about Bigfoot, Dogman, all of those other things that are out there that fall under the cryptids as well. And there's a lot of strange stuff out there. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to cover some of the spirits and hauntings and people have experienced in the wildlands. And I think it's kind of wild. What I think is going on is that the forests are the remaining wild places in the world. So like they are just pumping with natural energy. So you get the full spectrum there. You get the spirits that are lingering for some reason, and you get non-human spirits that are hanging out because maybe they're elemental, maybe they're some kind of other thing like if things like sylphs and dryads and all of that lore is real, then maybe they're out there raising havoc too. And then you get different guardian spirits, and especially here in North America, we have a lot of ancient First Nations stories of natural spirits and protectors of the lands and stuff. So the list goes on and on, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to cover some hauntings in the forests. So I hope you guys are all right with that. I know that a lot of our spring is here, and a lot of Bigfoot hunters are going to be hitting the woods, and researchers looking for some new stuff after the snow melt. So the forests are going to come alive in a lot of ways. And if you live in our neck of the woods, be careful because the bears are up now. They're awake. And there is some grizzlies up here. So it's low volume. I don't understand. I'm not sure why. I haven't done anything. I'll go full max on this and see what I can do. Is that any better? I'm maxed on my meter right now. So Julia, it seems to be you. Is anyone else in YouTube having low volume? Please let me know if you will. Because it goes in and out, and Ellie's saying, I don't know why. In my monitor mix, it's sounding normal, but it could be an internet thing. Again, if it is, I'm sorry. I got no barely audible from Silex. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'll jack up the mains here. So that's the main fader is almost all the way up now too, and I never touch that. And my preamp is up, so I do apologize if you're having a hard time hearing me. But that's very strange. So I do apologize, but I only have so many levels of control here in the studio, and then I'm at the mercy of everything else on the internets, on the interwebs. So, but I promise you, I'm not tweaking things between shows. All right, so let's get into this, guys. I'm absolutely screaming in my own ears. I got to turn my monitor mix down on my headphones just so I'm not blowing out my own eardrums here, but I hope that helped. Yeah, I did get the moon working. If you ever go to the store and you see like the bargain pack of like 50 batteries, don't bother. There's a reason that you can get a bargain pack of 50 batteries, and it's not because they're being generous. It's because they suck. And that's what I had. So I got to throw away a whole bunch of batteries now. But thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. Can I? What? No, I can't. I'm sorry, Julia. This is as loud as it's going to get. Crank up your volume. Do the best you can. But there's nothing else I can do here on this end. All right. So let's get into this and see what we got. I suppose I could look at that. I wonder if something. That's a good thing, Don. Oh, you know what? That did get tweaked. I see OBS just did an update. That's the broadcast software I'm using. Is that better, guys? Are you able to hear it now? Please let me know. I just my OBS, which is the broadcasting software, that's what gives the scenes on YouTube. It did an update, and I see that now when I'm going through the settings. Thanks, Don. You just saved me there. Thank you, brother. All right. Now everybody can hear me. And what I was saying before, if you missed it, is we're going to do a show about the wild hauntings and stuff, spirits in the wild. Everybody's hitting the woods. It's all getting active outside. And, you know, just got to watch out not only for Bigfoot, but the ghosts as well. So let's get into this. Again, the phone lines are open. The portal phone lines are available. Everybody's giving me thumbs up. Well, good. I'm glad that sorted it. I don't know. That's very strange. But the phone lines are open. It's 720-923-0500. The portal has a different phone number than the TFR normal phone line. So again, 720-923-0500 is how you call into the show if you'd like to participate. Love to see it. And let's get into the show and see what we can dig up here. I'm really sorry about that. I hadn't even thought about OBS. Thanks, Don. I'm glad you popped in, brother. You just saved my bacon. All right, so the first one tonight I want to read you. Excuse me, hold on. Froggy. It's coming out of Washington. It said, the other night I had my friend Mike over, and it was around 11 p.m. when this happened. Mike and I had gone outside because it was too hot in the house, and we have a forest area in the backyard. And Mike left before me, and I was to follow him out a few minutes later. I started walking outside and towards the forest, and I usually look at the ground when I walk, but not this time because I needed to see where I was going. My paranoia got to me, and I expected Mike to be somewhere in the dark, waiting to pounce on me and freak me out. Halfway to the forest, there's a little red barn that used to be a chicken coop, and once there I called him, and he seemed to be near the trees, so I didn't have a lot to worry about with him trying to scare me, so I continued walking, and as I got near the edge of the forest, I looked at the ground and happened to notice my shadow. Since I'm terrified of shadow people, the sight of it made me a little uneasy. As I looked up, I saw something glowing and white about 10 feet away from me, and I assumed it was Mike, but it couldn't have been because Mike had worn all black that night. Its body was blurred a little bit, and it kind of hard to comprehend, but I kept watching it, and it just kind of slowly floated into the forest. After I saw it, I called Mike again, and he was in a completely different area than when I'd seen the thing. And he wasn't even in the trees, just near the end of them, but outside of them. The figure I saw was about human-sized, but definitely was not human. I only say this because no one wearing all white was around, plus, when it went into the trees, it was not touching the ground at all. I remember this experience clearly, and I know that it was not my imagination playing tricks on me in the darkness. It's never happened to me before where my mind makes me see things, and the feeling I had when I saw this gave me the realization that this was the real deal. I never fully believed in ghosts until I saw this, and I wasn't ready to believe that every story on the internet is true, but it looks like I maybe was wrong. So now there's a ghost out in my forest. Can it get into my house and bother me? For me, that would be the scariest thing ever. Well, so I wouldn't, if something's outside your house, I wouldn't get too concerned about it for the most part. Because I really believe that we are probably swimming in a world of spirits. We just don't see them because we're conditioned not to. I think that there are always things about. I think there's always consciousness about. And I don't mean to imply that all that consciousness is just spirits, but it can be. I do believe that there's other consciousnesses about that maybe we don't really understand or can't really comprehend at this point, but that maybe some of those old legends are true with the, things like sylphs and dryads and elementals and so many more that it's, there's too many names to remember to define all of what could be out there. And I'm sure there's more things out there. I'm sure there's things that if we saw it, it would probably, we'd probably have to scrape our underwear. Honestly, I just think we are so conditioned to our three dimensions, to our physical world, to our distractions and our preoccupations with the rate of our life, you know, and you think about our lifestyles, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I actually got a call. No, I don't. The person hung up. So, if you want to call back, that'd be great. But we are inundated, and it's almost like an addiction now, where our senses need to be absolutely hammered all the time. I mean, by senses, I mean our physical senses. We jam our music to the edge of pain. We need to go to movies to see fantastic science fiction and fantasy and amazing images and action, and and our tastes. I was just having this discussion on a Facebook thread this last week, and somebody was talking about food and how they've noticed they just can't handle eating fast food anymore. And I was like, that's because it's no longer food. We're eating stuff that is so processed and chemicalized and bastardized that it's only like Frankenfoods, that there's more chemicals in the food we eat than there is actually food items that, we've been involved with since the inception of human beings. Everything's been treated and GMO'd and preservatives and God knows what else. And so it doesn't surprise me that, that people are having a lot of things like, celiac disease and things like that, which is a digestive disorder. And there are many people that believe that it has very little to do with wheat, but more to do with Roundup, because, they spray the fields of wheat with Roundup, which is glyphosate, to make it all die at the same time so they can have a uniform harvest. Well, that doesn't go away, and they're finding glyphosate even in mother's breast milk and stuff like that. So the chemicals we are exposed to is absolutely terrifying. So, but that's another one of our senses. We have to, just keep inundating our senses to the point of overwhelm. And that's what we expect in our modern age. So we haven't really remembered remembered how to live in balance, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I do have a caller back this time. Let me get to it. And this is area code 503. You're on the air.
Hey, Brent.
Hey, how's
it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Who am I talking to?
So, this is Travis. Sorry.
Oh, hey,
I assumed caller ID.
Oh, yeah, I get a call, but it doesn't come up with your name.
Or something like that.
It just says wireless. So, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. So I had when I called last time, I didn't really want to share this experience because it was really personal, and it's still kind of hard for me to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm kind of hoping this would be like a good therapy session for me if I just get it off my chest and tell somebody, because I've never told anybody.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel super comfortable telling you this. So.
Oh, cool.
Thank you again for your show. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
So, yeah. So, when was this? It was like 3 or 4 years ago. I was at a bar with some buddies, and I was going through a bad breakup, and this dude shows up out of nowhere, and he looked like he was seeing hard times, and I've always tried to like help people out, get the shirt off my back kind of guy, And he started talking to me, and it was obvious that he needed some assistance. Like, he just looked like he's roughing it,
Uh-huh.
So we get to talking, and he was like, yeah, I got this storage unit, and I got to move out of it, and it's all dirty, and I really need someone's help cleaning it out. And I was like, well, let's finish this beer and let's go check it out and see what kind of damage we gotta deal with. And we did. We went over and looked at it, and it was just a cluttered mess, like mold on everything.
Oof.
Nasty.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of irrelevant. We ended up going back to the bar, and then he bought me a drink. I thought he was just doing a kind gesture because I told him I'd help him clean it out. And the next thing I know, I am at a hotel room. So I think what happened was I got drugged.
Oh.
And yeah, and basically some really nasty stuff went down, but nothing really physical except like me getting slapped really hard by this like 250-pound tattooed dude that he had next door. Like, I guess what his deal was he would lure people to like feel bad for him, and then you drug them and take them to the hotel room, and you try and get them to do sexual things with him and his buddy, which they never did. His buddy like slapped me really, really hard and like threw me on the bed with a knife to my throat kind of thing, and just really, really broke me down pretty mentally.
Yeah.
But afterwards, my parents and my friends were all like looking for me because I never went to work the next day, and everyone was freaking out. And I finally was able to get out of that hotel room, and I drove off in my car and went to one of my buddy's house, and she wasn't there, but her mom was, and she was like, "Oh my God, like everyone's worried sick about you. Where have you been?" And I was just like in shock. Like, the best way I can describe it is like you're you 1 minute, and then the next you feel like you're 3 years old. Like, you know nothing. You're just like a total mental breakdown.
Right.
It was insane. But she ended up calling my parents, and they were at work, and so my buddy came and picked me up, and they took me to the hospital because he thought that I was high on drugs, which I wasn't. And he was like yelling at me in the car, and he just could tell that I was completely out of it, which is why he assumed I was on drugs, I think. But then he took me into the ER, and he was like, "Hey, I think my buddy's on drugs. He needs help." And they took me back there, and they tried to question me about things. And I was just trying to stay strong about it, and was being kind, and was like, "Yeah, no, this is this, that's that." And they wrote down in my portfolio or whatever that I was high on drugs, which wasn't true and isn't what I said.
Okay.
So they lied, which I thought was super messed up.
Yeah.
I went back and found that out later because the lady it was like months later, I went in for something like a checkup on a broken bone or whatever. And she was talking to me, and at the end of it, she looked at me and she was like, "You don't look like you do drugs." And I was like, "No, I don't even smoke weed." And she was like, "Well, okay, then I'm going to take this off your record." And I was like, what do you mean? And she told me that they said that I was a drug user. And I was like, wow, that's super messed up. Wow. But anyways, when my buddy took me to the ER, they gave me like a CAT scan of my brain, and they said that it was like almost very abnormally active in areas where it's not normally active. And my parents and my friends all came in and were like, "Oh my God, we're so glad you're okay." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine, guys," and blah, blah, blah. And then I went to leave, and I walked out of the hospital with my parents towards the car. And it was nighttime at this point. And I turned around and I looked at the hospital, and I like looked up to the stars because they relax me. I find it therapeutic to look up at stars.
Sure.
And what I saw above the hospital, it was a 3-story hospital, 4-story hospital, and about 20 feet above the top of the roof. If you want to Google an image, or I can email it to you, it was so weird. It looked like a humanoid figure, but it was naked, and it was totally brown, and it looked like skin and bones. I'm going to try and email it to you or you can just Google it. It's the closest thing I could resemble it to was like a zombie from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time game.
Okay. I'm doing it right now. From Zelda.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can find here. Oh, okay. Let me get to an image, and I'll put it. And our YouTube listeners will be able to, or viewers will be able to see this. I guess this is it. Okay.
Cool.
Let me put it up there so everybody can see what we're talking about. Now we have about a minute before break, so if you don't mind, stay on the line, and we can definitely continue this conversation, because I definitely want to hear everything you have to say. But let me put this up so people can see this thing. So is that the one with like an orange mask on and it looks like a skeleton kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
That's it.
That is intense.
That's exactly what it looked like, except it didn't have an orange mask. It was just like the skin tone matched the face, and its eyes were like super sunken in and black, and it looked like that though.
Wow. That is intense. Ugh. And did it just stay there then?
Yeah.
It just sat up there looking, or?
Yeah, it's like it was standing there, but it was floating about 20 feet above the roof, and it was just like looking my direction.
So it was looking at you as well. That was my next question. Yeah. So do you,
Yeah. I don't know if.
Go ahead.
I would assume it was looking at me. Yeah. It was looking my direction. I wouldn't. I don't know. I couldn't see eyes though, so I couldn't really tell what it was looking at, but it was facing me.
Well, chances are you're the only one that saw it, so I'm betting it was looking at you as well. But we're going to go to our break, but hang on the line there, Travis, and we'll get back to you in just a second after a couple of minutes. And I definitely want to continue this conversation because I think this is very interesting, and we need to address this a little further if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, we're going to go to our first break of the night, so hang in there for just a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with more of the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away. And by the way, Travis, the mic will be live, so.
What's that?
No hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back from our first break of the night, entering the second half hour of the show. Just thrilled everybody can hear me now. Sorry about the rookie intro, but I can't be held responsible for updating software. If I was professional, I could be, but I've never claimed to be professional, so you get what you paid for. I'm just joking, but ladies and gentlemen, we're joined tonight currently by a phone call from our listener Travis, who has been sharing an incredible story that he experienced. And sorry for that interruption, brother, but we on Fridays and Saturdays we got to do the network breaks. So, are you
It's
there?
all good, brother.
Okay, so
Ain't no thing.
So you're leaving the hospital. You look up at the stars just to kind of get your wits about you, because that's calming for you. And up on the just above the roof of the hospital, you see this zombie-like thing, and it's sitting there looking at you. But go ahead. That's kind of where we cut it off. So continue if you would.
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask real quick, is that anything that anyone listening has ever heard of or seen, or is there any sort of information on that would help to identify possibly what it was? What I kind of just, the first thought, honestly, that crossed my mind when I was looking at it was a Reaper, like the Grim Reaper.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm kind of wondering if it was like a demon or something, because of what seemed to follow me home
Right.
and was with me for about I don't know, a month before it started to finally dissipate.
Yeah, and certainly we'll keep an eye on the chats for that, but it does seem to be like it might have been a possessing spirit of some kind. Now, whether or not a demon, it's anybody's guess with, with very little information, but, demons are usually pretty cunning, and you really don't know they're around until you're already really deep into the hooks, of them. They kind of play a war of attrition, in my experience and what I've researched. It's like they don't just come out and go, hey, I'm a demon, and and I want your soul. They do things like a lot of oppression for a long time, like bad moods, and making you feel real down and negative, and isolating you, making you feel like you don't want to be around other people. So it's it's kind of like any other like real abusive relationship, where the abuser likes to isolate the person they're abusing. Well, that's the same in my experience with the demon stuff, is that they like to make people withdrawn and cause them to not feel confident about anything. In fact, the weaker a person is, the better. And while they're doing that, then they're continuing to impress their will on the person, and until at the worst case scenario, with a demon, you get to this point that's referred to as perfect possession. And when it reaches a point of perfect possession, there's basically no difference anymore between the person and the demonic spirit. So like they have complete and total control, and there's just a complete melding, and so they basically take over your life, and they're about impossible to get rid of at that point. Not that it can't be done, but it's just a hell of a battle. But it does seem like that, and that's probably why it appeared to you. Now, I'm not saying it's demonic, but it seems to be something that was trying to latch onto you and wanted to, tie into your life and your energy. So I'm sorry, you're there?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
I just heard some
Can you hear
squeaking or
me?
something. Yeah, there's like a squeaking or a whining
Oh,
noise.
that was my puppy.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
sorry.
Gotcha. So does that make any sense at all?
Um, yeah, it does actually. Everything you've just described is what followed for the next
Oh,
month. Like oppression, feeling just depressed and not wanting to talk to anybody. I didn't tell anybody what happened to me that night for a week.
yeah,
And
I don't blame you.
everyone just kind of, I think what my parents thought was that I was doing drugs.
Sure.
I think that's what they think happened,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't tell them for like a week. And yeah, I was just like, oh man, it was so difficult with that mental breakdown. It took me like a good week. I felt like I had to start my life, my personality completely over.
Sure.
Like I totally forgot like who I was. I didn't know what I liked,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And I had to like rebuild myself. It was very bizarre. But while I was in that process, I just like, remember that story I told you about the cemetery with that energy that bum rushed me?
Yes. Yep.
I felt like a presence was there with me that was negative
Mm-hmm.
for a while, but I never saw anything. I remember a night or two after I got home, my parents were like playing a board game with me or something, and I would get this overwhelming feeling of like there was a demon behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my face showed it because my mom would look at me and her face would change like, oh crap, I need to do something to make him not feel this way.
Right.
And stuff like that.
Ugh.
But yeah, it was weird, man.
So,
Eventually I just kind of was just like, I'm stronger than this. If that is a demon, I'm not going to let it get to me.
mm-hmm.
I know where I stand spiritually, and if it's not strong enough, then I'm going to make it strong enough. And I just kind of had a big guy personality, and I don't know if I was just mentally unstable or if I was able to conquer it. But either way, I've been way better. And I feel like my personality now is much better than it was before.
Oh, cool.
So blessing in disguise, maybe.
Well, that is, and I think it's got to be extra tough, to have your identity shattered like that. So it doesn't surprise me that you went through such a period of rebuilding because, I mean, you really got the rug pulled out from under you in so many ways, and to be a victim of something like that, it's hard to face life the same way because you don't have that same innocence anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It was quite the trip.
exactly. But now the thing is that that's really the key in getting rid of those kind of issues. I mean, you can certainly, if you're dealing with an oppressive or possessive spirit, you can certainly look to others to try to take care of it for you, and they can certainly help by using methodologies to loosen that hold. But ultimately, it always gets back to the strength of the person. It's got to get back to are you able to do this? Because if somebody, let's say it's an exorcist, if they come in, they can do a ritual, they can do some practicing, some practices that are supposed to banish spirits. But if you're not strong, and if you're so weakened by whatever's been going on, it may get better for a while, but a lot of times they come back. But since you took that on yourself without the outside help even, and just did battle on your own, I think that you did great, to be honest with you, because that's no small feat.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your words. It was definitely, I feel the same way.
So,
And I thought that during the process too. And there was times when I was just like, man, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I should like go to counseling or something. But I always had the idea of like, if you, I don't know. And I know counseling works for other people. I
mhm.
tried it for a day or two, and I just couldn't get behind the idea of telling a stranger something and expecting them to understand
Right.
what I went through and what I I don't know. I was raised to just be a big boy and
Yeah.
deal with it. Don't ask for help, and that's what I did, and it worked out, and that's what's important.
Well, and even in counseling and everything like that, I mean, there's oftentimes a belief many people have that I have problems and I'm going to counseling and that is going to make it better. Well, again, if you're not fighting, if you're not challenging those things that are causing problems, then a counselor isn't going to be able to help any more than going and watching cartoons, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So right on, brother. I think
Yep.
you did great. Good job,
Thanks, man.
and I appreciate you.
That's pretty much it.
All
I'll
right,
get
I really appreciate you calling in
I'll get
again.
off the line and let someone else.
All right. Well, it's great hearing from you, and thanks again for calling in and being a part of the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brent.
All right, take care. Very cool. With those kind of situations, ladies and gentlemen, it all gets down to the person. Um, nobody can expel your spirits for you. They can do things to help strengthen your position. They can do things that will help weaken the position of an offending spirit. But ultimately, you have to have a will for that to happen, and it truly is a battle. There's no doubt. So very, 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 very tough deal, double tough kind of deal. But I think he did it right, and I guess the proof is in the pudding, right? He's got his life together, and he likes himself, and things are going well. So excellent deal. So what else was it? I was going to. Oh, I got a question in the chat room about the ancient Ram Inn, and in England. And this was in the TFR chat by a listener, Bison. And I don't profess to know a whole bunch about the ancient Ram Inn over there. I know it's one of the oldest buildings in existence over there, as far as I know. But I had heard it's been used for sacrifice way back, and the claim is that there were child sacrifices happening there because they did unearth some children's bones in that building. It's allegedly one of the most haunted buildings in all of England. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's definitely a bizarre place. I did see the Ghost Adventures when they went over there, and it was, it looked really interesting. It looked, I don't know, even watching it on TV, it just had this real depressing vibe to it, is all I can say. But Bison again went on and said, yes, Brent, the guy who lives there refuses to move. He says that, he gets taken advantage of in the night by the incubus and succubus. Yeah, that's the older guy that lived there, is one I'm thinking you're talking about. And he actually passed away now. He's no longer alive. He may still be there, but he's no longer the owner of it. I think his son or one of his surviving family members owns it now. But he said, yeah, it is a succubus that he was talking about. And his wife left him and couldn't cope. Kids left, etc. He's mad, bat crazy. And it's also built on the ley lines from Stonehenge that run right through it. That's interesting. Now, I forgot about that part. Yep, I did forget about that part, that it was allegedly built on the ley lines from Stonehenge, which, automatically would be a site that would be used by any kind of a dark occult practice, because they try to harness those earth energies to help in their rituals. But we got some more callers here, so let's get on the board and see who's calling in next. And this is area code 313. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man.
Hey, welcome to the show. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Brent. Hey, my name is Rob, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob.
Oh, hey, Rob. How you doing? Good to talk to you finally. Seen you in the chats forever, but
Hey,
it's
yeah, I know, buddy.
all right, man. What's
No,
up?
it's cool. I started listening to your program a couple months ago, and I tell you what, it's awesome.
Oh,
It's helped me with a lot of different things in life. Seriously,
oh, very good.
and I appreciate your efforts. A
Oh,
great show.
thank you a bunch.
I don't know what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about, I don't know if it kind of fits in the spirit world, but this is something that's been bugging me for quite some time. I've expressed this only once. Well, I've talked to 5 or 6 different people. It's about Bigfoot, a Bigfoot experience, but I've had only one live interview I did with Wes Germer on Sasquatch Chronicles, episode 513, and
Oh, very cool.
this is not a. Thank you. I've talked to different people. I won't mention their names, but for right now, anyway, I don't know because I'm having a difficulty. Back, if you don't mind me talking about this, 'cause I think it might be spiritual and it might not be.
Okay.
But if you allow me, I'd like to tell you my encounter,
By all means, the floor is yours.
if you like.
That sounds great. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So back last year, June of 2018, I had taken my girlfriend Cindy. I live in the state of Michigan, and I went to Cadillac, Michigan,
Okay.
and we were going to do a little fishing. And again, this is kind of a long encounter, so I'm going to edit it for the purpose of your show, so I don't want to take up all your time. So I'm going to leave out some things, but so I want to make it kind of concrete for you folks out there listening.
Okay.
I'm in Lake Mitchell, which is you get to that from Cadillac, Michigan, the Lake Cadillac. There's a canal, and so we're drifting, fishing down the shoreline on Lake Mitchell.
Okay.
So anyway, we're on shoreline, and Cindy says to me, "Hey Rob, someone's throwing some rocks at the boat," and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I'm really not paying attention. It's the first time really she's gone fishing with me. I've been over 10 years. And it's kind of the first excursion I took her for actually out fishing. And Lake Mitchell backs up to a national forest in Michigan.
Okay.
Manistee National Park. So anyway, some rocks. She said someone's throwing rocks at the boat. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not paying attention. I put lures on my fishing line, so on. And then she goes, Rob, someone's throwing a rock. I'm like, well, whatever. And then after she says this, there's a splash to the left of my boat, and I look up, and from shoreline, there's a creature. There's a beast up there, right?
Wow.
And it's standing from shoreline, 8-9 feet tall. And now I lose control of my boat, so I'm kind of like drifting closer to shore. I'm maybe 80, 100 feet out from shore. And this thing is looking at me.
Oh, wow.
It's not gray, excuse me. It's reddish brown, standing there, just looking. And I'm getting pretty close. I'm like 80 feet. And as I look into the face of this creature, I say creature because at the time I'm not thinking Bigfoot. I don't know what the heck this thing is.
Uh-huh.
It kind of looked like a Down syndrome person. I mean, the face looked like a human being, but kind of like, and I don't mean to offend anybody when I say that. Please don't take that the wrong way.
Sure.
That's what it looked like, but I'm thinking, man. And then this thing opens his mouth from shore, and all of a sudden, this is where I come with the spiritual thing. It opens his mouth, and all I see is darkness. Is like a Pac-Man. We all play Pac-Man as kids, depending on your age. The circle with the mouth.
Yep.
I see two teeth coming down, and but they're not fangs. They're longer than a normal person. And there's two on the bottom that come up a little bit. They're more together, more narrow. And it lets out this bellowing screech and guttural growl.
Oh, wow.
To me and Cindy, for sure.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm kind of in a daze. I'm thinking, what the heck is this thing? And now from the shoreline, a wake kind of occurs and it rushes toward our boat. Now this fishing boat stood maybe, it's like a flat boat, maybe 8 inches out of the water, from the top of the lake,
Okay.
from the lake, the line up to the lake, at the boat. I'm sorry, but so anyways, it does the screech, and when it does this, though, it propels its arms out. They're on the side and went out kind of like an airplane, and they're straight out. And a little wake rushes towards the boat, lets out the screech, hits the boat. The boat kind of flips, trusts back a little bit.
Uh-huh.
We're both, Cindy are standing up, and she falls off the side of the boat into the water.
Oh.
And so I'm like, wow. And I'm like still, and she's screaming, and I'm still like perplexed and almost paralyzed looking at this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I I pull her into the boat and get her in the boat. Now, when I look back toward the shoreline again, the creature's gone. And we just jettisoned out of there. We kind of turned the boat around. I mean, I turned it. I just ran, drove straight into shore.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to shore and such. I dock the boat, get in. We find the nearest bar or restaurant we get to, have a quick drink, and I'm like, "Hey, Cindy, what do you think that was?" I mean, we're both shaking. Again, I'm cutting this story because it's like a 35-minute story, so for time for you, I'm just trying to cut it a little bit.
Okay.
And it's like, and she goes, "I have no idea." And I says, "Hey, I think, that could have been like the Bigfoot creature. I don't know. I can't explain it." But here's the thing: when it turned its face, when it did that scream and opened the mouth, here's the spiritual thing about this thing.
Okay.
It looked like that human being, and it turned, all of a sudden, the face was contorted so bad that it looked like a demon.
Wow.
It looked like something out of hell, because ever since this happened in June, that's when I really started getting involved in watching videos, going on different shows and seeing these things. And the face looked from a Down syndrome person, again, no offense to anybody, to something, it manifested as something that you would see out of a devil movie, or
sure.
It looked like a kabuki mask. It was a total different. So, and that's when he did the blow toward the boat. So we get out of the boat, and she wants to report it to the DNR or whoever. And I'm like, let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
So I get home. This happened, and we're like silenced. But as soon as we got home, we're hitting the computer, we're hitting YouTube, we're hitting, everything we can to find out what the heck this is.
Right.
Now, again, I'm going to cut a lot of the details out for you for your show. But and then I find out things about infrasound and all this. So in August of that summer, Cindy passed away.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's tough.
Okay. No, I'm not. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, this is like not even a year yet. August will be a year. So that's when I really immersed myself into the subject. Now, as a young child, I was always interested. I always believed in like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot. As a kid,
Sure. Yeah.
I, anyway, was always open to things. In fact, as a little kid, now that I've been looking into the subject, I'm starting to remember things from my past life, like ghosts. I mean, I remember seeing things on my wall, my bunk bed with my brother. I'd see like ghosts on the wall, but I think I'm dreaming. And now that I'm looking back at all these things, I think maybe they really are ghosts now, because it was so vivid and real.
Right.
But then that's a different part of the story. So now I've been looking at this, and now I've been talking to certain people, and they're in the Bigfoot community. And I was thinking about going back to Cadillac here in June for the anniversary when I saw this thing,
right,
without Cindy, and looking. And people are telling me that was such a territorial mark that perhaps I marked. They say you probably will see him all your life now because you're marked with the spirit of the Bigfoot or whatever it was. And so I'm frankly scared. And the thing is, I want to do this for closure. I mean, do I want to find the thing that I saw? No, I don't. But I want to go. I'm looking for answers. And the thing about it is, I don't know if I'm going, because, they talk about you going with a bad attitude. They can sense that. So if this thing senses I'm going on a vendetta mission, maybe I won't make it out. I'm not saying that my girl died because of Bigfoot or whatever I saw. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But I just have all these thoughts in my mind. And, that's where I'm at. I don't know. And then it brings up the spirituality. Someone says I'm marked and all this. And then now I'm thinking back on different things. Like now I have these dreams. I was talking about that sleep paralysis. I mean,
sure.
Twice a week, I'm sitting in my chair watching maybe your show or watching regular television, and I see dreams where I'm sitting in my chair and I'm fully awake, but I see like demons and ghosts circling around my chair, and I can't move,
Right.
and I can't wake up until I say, "Hey, Jesus, God!" Someone told me say the Lord's name. I say that, and all of a sudden, boom! It's like I snap up, like I'm awake, but it's like I'm awake.
Right.
It's like I'm still awake anyway.
Right.
And I'm just so confused now. I think I'm mentally just kind of shot right now.
Well, Rob, I'll tell you what.
I just had to stay this because I'm just trying to get
Right.
this off my chest. I've talked to other people, and I want to call in tonight.
Okay, so I want you to hold the line. We're about to go to the next break, but I want you to hold the line because we'll talk more on the other side. But I got some thoughts for you, and we'll go over that in just a couple minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the hour break, and we'll return with Rob on the phone, and we'll see what else we can figure out for him. But don't go away.
Censorship.
Everybody likes to play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart.
not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are already involved in a phone call here. We got a couple other ones on the line, but let's get back to Rob here. And oh, this damn mouse. Sorry, Rob, it's coming. There we go. This mouse sucks so bad. So, but we got you back now, Rob. A couple of things that I'd like to say is you've been through something incredibly traumatizing, and there's a few things. First of all, I'm sure you must have been zapped by infrasound, and so that obviously puts you in that really altered state, hard to figure out what the hell to do. And then, whether or not, they can create waves or wake. I mean, I don't know, and I can't pretend to know, but I'll tell you that if they are partially supernatural, then it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I don't know what Bigfoot is or how to put it in a nutshell. I mean, a part of me would really like to believe it's just a flesh and blood animal and it's out there, or being, and it's out there, and we'll catalog it someday and it'll be just a part of what we know of the natural world. Another part of me wants it to be spiritual or supernatural, or have these strange abilities. I've heard from callers on the show that said they observed one, but only from the waist up, and then it phased out completely. So apparently there's something to that they do have, and if they can phase out, what else can they do? So maybe creating a wave isn't that big of a stretch. I don't know. And it's incredibly fascinating, but I think, you're probably dealing with so much, and then the passing of your girlfriend as well, which is horribly tragic. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And I mean, sometimes life is just freaking cruel, and it's hard to understand. But
yeah, thank you, Brett, for the words. Because I don't think it's, from what I've seen though, from sure. I mean, from what I saw, it was not a spirit. I mean,
right.
I mean, sure, I turned around to pull out of the boat. It was gone. Okay, fine. Well, that's Bigfoot. That happens to everybody. This has an encounter. They see it for a glimpse.
Mm-hmm.
I see this thing for maybe 30 seconds, and yeah, the wave thing, I can't figure that out, and I don't know. My thing is now, it's like, now I second guess myself on certain things, because after this happened, now that I'm driving into the subject, diving into it, excuse me.
Sure.
Then I read all these things. It's like, supernatural. You get it's like, I personally, for what I saw, was definitely a creature from our world.
But now let me point this out. Let me point this out as well, Rob, is that, one thing that we forget in our Western world is that, and even surviving still to this day, are claims of like monks levitating over in the Orient and in the East, and fantastical tales of people bilocating, changing locations, and appearing in several different places that they couldn't physically do it. So it's not without a precedent in the human line as well. So to think, and there's claims of people moving things with their mind and controlling weather and things like that. And so if that is at all possible, then it's not a big stretch to think that this intelligent being, which is, maybe equally intelligent to us, could be capable of those kind of things and more.
Yeah, because the first thing that I've said on an interview is like when he opened the mouth, I thought he was making a breath prior to even the wake, because he just opened. It was such an gaping hole in his mouth, and then I noticed his wake. Now I'm second guessing myself. Like, did a boat come by me? Well, no, of course it didn't.
No.
And then now that I've been doing the research and just studying on the subject, I'm totally confused. It's like, what is it now? At first I thought it was this and that. Now it's like, what the heck is this thing? And then I've been doing this for like the last 6 months, and it's like now I start watching all these things, and I get all these weird dreams.
Sure. Now
that's I'm sorry about that. I sleep 3-4 hours a day. It's like just now it's really getting me. And now we're getting closer to June. I'm starting to really have
now
nightmares. It's just nuts.
I think my gut is telling me it is important for you to go back. I think it really is, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in that moment forever, and you've got to go create a new moment at the very least, so that, you can,
right.
Because right now that thing is still standing on that shore, and terrifying you, and it's, and it's not. And when you go back up there, if it's not there, then you'll have a new experience to put on top of that, and then you can put it in something that happened, and so it's not something that's still happening to you. Because with something so incredibly traumatic, we just play them over and over in our mind, and it never becomes part of the past, because it's always part of your present. And I think it's really important. And please forgive me, I'm not trying to say that I'm qualified in any way to counsel you, but in my mind, that's what I think is important, is that you go up there and you create a new memory, and you come to terms with what you experienced, because, I'm really sure you got like a PTSD cooking on this, and I don't blame you. I mean, it stands to reason that you saw something that defied explanation. It shattered your paradigm, and you're sitting there trying to reassemble yourself, and that's not a lot different from what Travis on the last call said, and it's important to do that. Now, what I would also like to add is, in dealing with the spiritual stuff that you seem to be wrestling with, if you're okay with it, I'd like to put you in touch with one of the psychics that participates in the show, and see if they can help you come to terms with that.
That'd be great. Deborah?
Well, it could be Deb, it could be Sean, it could be Diane.
Whoever that'd be great. Thank you. The one thing that I do want to eliminate from my mind is this: I don't want to. In August, she passed on. June was when we saw we had the encounter. I just don't want it to believe that it had anything to do with me taking her there. And like I said, I've never taken her anywhere like that.
Sure.
I see this thing. 2 months later, she passes away. Now, I'm hoping to God Almighty that it wasn't because of this. Hopefully.
You can't do that.
It was just something because on the autopsy, she had a heart attack, and she was in perfectly great health, never had any health issues. And now I'm thinking about it, and I was reading on this infrasound, like it can contort and mess up your organs and such. So I'm thinking, wow, if we got hit with that, maybe that's. And I've talked to a couple other people in the community. Some say no, they don't think so, and others say that maybe. That's the thing. I don't know.
At this point,
and I blame myself for even taking her to the lake.
No,
I beat myself up night and day over it.
You can't do that, because she could have never gone there and had the same thing happen, and you can't know that. You can't carry that as well. That's not fair. You gotta just trust that whatever happened with her health, and maybe it was just meant to happen. Maybe her journey here was done, and she just went home, or whatever you believe. But you can't carry that as well, Rob. That's not fair.
Yeah, I do know this. With this experience, it's set me on a new journey. I'm definitely into this subject and studying it. And like I said, I probably will go back to January about a camera. I mean, we could talk for 15 hours. I'm not going to for your show, but anyway, Thanks for your time, because this is something I have to resolve. And yeah, people, it's 50-50 with people I've spoken with about going back or not. And I'm going to go back. That's my decision.
I think you need to.
It's not to find the creature. It's just to go back and just get some sort of
closure. Yeah.
A release or closure, perhaps.
I think that's.
But
in my opinion,
I haven't been the same since. I tell you.
In my opinion, that's the right move. But again, you have to make your own choice, and I don't mean to try to make it for you, but I see that as a very healing thing for you. But will you email me, Rob? Email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and I'll get you in touch with one of our wonderful psychics, and they can at least help you look into the spiritual stuff that's going on. Okay.
Oh, Brett, thanks for your time on the show tonight.
Anytime, brother. Thanks for being a part of it. I really appreciate your call.
Great show. All right.
All right. Good night. Let's see if this mute is going to work. Okay, and we got another call, and this is one of our psychic friends. If I can unmute it successfully. Damn mouse. There we go. Hi, Diane. How you doing? Diane?
Hi.
Hi.
I heard line unmuted, line muted, line unmuted.
My
line
mouse,
muted, line unmuted.
my mouse is dying a slow and painful death, and it's driving me crazy.
Ew. Ew, burn smell.
So what's going on tonight, my lady?
Hi. Well, I was going to talk about spirits of the forest because
please.
I like to go walk in the woods,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the title. But, I could also say a little bit about some of this. One of them is Travis. I'm really glad to hear he did it the way he did, because honestly, that is the advice I give people, is you've got to be very definite and stand up to things and not let them.
Yes.
And when you do stand up to them, though, you have to be extremely, what can I say?
Assertive?
Confident.
Yeah.
Yes, assertive and confident about it. Or just run. I'm sorry. You got two choices if you're not. No, I'm kidding about that. You just be confident when humans really are pretty powerful creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, if it is a physical thing, like a Bigfoot, you got to be more careful with that.
Yeah.
But the things that are in from another dimension, they usually have a weaker hold here, so we have an advantage over them. So just as a rule of thumb. And I will also say that a lot of times, whether you ever really go through becoming an actual shaman or not, a lot of us who come here with a purpose, we get our tests. We get our tests in the form of stuff that happens to us in life.
Mm-hmm.
And, so in Travis's case, I think he kind of had his.
Yeah.
It almost sounded like a shaman's death to me.
Oh, good point.
You might actually
mm-hmm.
have skills.
That's really cool. That's
that.
A good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And, because that happens frequently, when you go through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, that may just be something for you, Travis. Maybe you want to look into that. But, it's not an easy path, but maybe that's one of the reasons you came here, was to be able to do that, because it sounds like you knew just what to do. And another thing I want to say is there is so much superstition about stuff when this sort of thing happens to you. And I really have run into some trouble trying to correct the superstitions. And a lot of people get very religious. And I mean, really, if you are a very religious person, it might work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
So, and when it doesn't, well, then what do you do? But sometimes they try to blame you for that. It's like, well, no. But anyway, okay, I want to get to the bit in the woods that was really kind of weird.
Okay.
I went generally go for walks in the woods. We had a place called the Mary Campbell Cave near where I live, and we kids used to love to go through there. This park that was in that area, but the thing is, we would have to sometimes kind of sneak there because our parents didn't always want us going there. But it was so much fun. As a kid, all the rocks and trees and stuff to see, and so we went down there, and it was just it was getting a little bit late,
Uh-huh.
and I had a weird incident down there when I was, and this was when I was younger. I was still living with my parents, and all of a sudden, I'm walking along the rocks, and suddenly I feel I'm standing on one of the rock outcroppings because there are many very rocky areas, and you got to be careful that you don't fall in a hole and hurt yourself or fall off a ledge or
Sure.
something. And because one of my friends actually did this and got really hurt.
Oh, man.
It's kind of dangerous. It can be dangerous.
Uh-huh.
So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I'm standing there, and all of a sudden it feels like I fell and hurt my back, although nothing happened. It was like I'm walking along. It was like all of a sudden, ow, and I felt like I hurt my back, and for a minute I felt like I had a broken back and I couldn't stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, my friends were with me and said, what happened, man? I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. But then I got all of these impressions of a younger person who had been there and had fallen to his death. And I also got the impression of weird things like rides at a fair, and that kind of ride, and mechanical stuff around, and a lot of people, and things like that. And it was just really weird, and this all just came whoosh.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't know what to think of that, but I kind of, dragged myself up. My friends helped me get home. I wasn't really injured. I just had back pain and had trouble walking. It was weird.
Right.
And I get home, and my dad is sitting there having a drink with one of his friends who lived in the area a long time too.
Okay.
And they both were interested in the subject. My dad and his Fate magazines, I told about that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, they both, and I knew they both talked about it from time to time when they'd had a drink or two. So I felt it was safe enough to say, wow, the weirdest thing happened to me. And, I told them what I saw and what I experienced. I said, that was really weird. I don't know what to think of that. And his friend said, oh, well, probably you didn't know this, but down in the old days, that place was a park. It did have rides.
Ooh.
It was an amusement.
Wow.
And some people would get hurt down there. And he even remembered hearing about somebody falling to their death out there, and although he couldn't assign a name or anything to it.
Sure.
And I thought, wow, that is really creepy, right?
Uh-huh.
So you have to kind of be careful in some of these places. It's not like but it was so weird to me because I hadn't had anything like that happen where I just, walked across an area and it was almost like walking on somebody's grave. That was when I was a lot younger and didn't know as much about this stuff. And
sure.
But that kind of got me intrigued and curious about it. So that was one of the weird incidents in the woods. I think I mentioned the weird incidents in the woods where we got lost and we had to, and I figured out we were pixie charmed and
Yes.
we had to undo it so that we could get back.
Yes, that's a
And they
very cool
couldn't-
story.
I'm
do you
like,
mind?
whoa, yeah, things can happen to you in
Do
the
you
woods.
mind?
You really don't.
Diane, do you mind sharing that
Huh?
again quickly? Do you mind sharing that again really quickly?
Sure, sure. Um, we had been having a gathering there. We love to go to the ledges out in Virginia Kendall, and it was a beautiful area. But there's this area that, and this is weird because I realized when I was watching this show about people who disappear. They disappear in national parks,
Yeah.
in that national forest. They disappear around rock outcroppings for some reason. They just disappear.
Right.
And I mean, this has been case after case after case of people who just turn a corner. They're up ahead. They turn a corner. The people that are with them turn the corner. They're gone. Nobody knows where they are. Okay, it's very creepy.
Right.
Very, very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever finds them. If they find them, they're miles away. You know, it's a strange thing. So my friend and I were in an area like that, and we were walking along, and it seemed like we were walking a long, long, long time trying to get back to our friends. We had just gone for a little walk. She wanted to go for a walk and see the place. Okay. And we're walking and walking and walking. And I said, no, we should have been back by now. We should have run into somebody. I mean, this was a pretty popular park.
Uh-huh.
There were people all over the place. Usually, you'd meet somebody every 5 minutes or something,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is really weird. And then I noticed these same two trees, and I said, and they were like trees that were almost like mirror image trees. It was creepy. They were facing each other, and they looked like, and I just felt like, you know what, this is like some kind of doorway. We're being misled.
Right. Yeah.
Wrong. This is all wrong. We should have seen the path up to where our friends are by now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember these trees. This is like the third time I've seen these trees, right?
Yes.
So my friend also, she'd have strange things. She kept complaining that her eyes were weird and she would see strange things. I think really she had some version of sight but didn't know it or didn't really want to talk about it because she did not have supportive relatives. I mean, her brothers would kind of beat up on her about it.
Sure.
If she mentioned anything about it, so she would stay quiet. But I said, you know what? I remember those trees. This is the third time we've been through here, and we haven't seen the path. We should have seen the path. I've been here a lot of times. We should have seen the path back up to where our friends are by now.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong here. And she says, well, I don't know. I said, what are we supposed to do about that? I think we should just keep walking. I said, oh, no. And there was something I had read, like just maybe a week or so before that, about how and it was just some little strange ritual that you do. I think it's something like you cross your fingers and you spin around counterclockwise and you say, show me the right path, like that, very definitely.
Uh-huh.
And that was an uncharming type, very charming.
Breaking
type.
a charm, yeah.
Yeah, breaking. So it was like to break a charm. So I said, what have I got to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it had been a long time, and I'm like, it's starting to get dark here. It's, the fun is going.
We got about
so,
2 minutes
till
till break.
Be out there in the dark.
Right.
And so, all of a sudden, we look around, and right there where those trees were, a path.
Appeared.
I said, that is path.
That's
the
excellent.
path.
All right, we're going to be going to the last break of the night, but thank you so much for calling in, Dee. I appreciate hearing from you every time. It's always a great pleasure. And I'll be in touch with you very soon because we got a show to plan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We do. Okay. Thank you.
All
Have
right.
a good day, people. I love you. Hugs.
All right. We love you too. Thanks. Okay. And then we got one more caller on the line. This is it's area code 650. Just hang on to the line and I'll get you on the other side of the break. So just hold on, and we will be right with you after the break. But ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate everything all of you guys are doing. The portal is growing. We just cleared 2,700 for our subscribers count, and again, in terms of YouTube, that's not a huge thing, but it's enormous for me because I know that the people that are here are people that are interested in what we're doing. It's not like we've bloated our sub count by, I don't know, clever ways or whatever. Everyone that's found the show has been interested in the show, and I'm really honored. Thank you all, and continue to spread the word. But we are going to be right back in just a couple minutes, so don't go away. For the last half hour, we got one more call on the board, and, unless another one calls in between now and then. But we'll be right back for more of the Paranormal Portal. right, ladies and gentlemen, the last half hour of the show. Just before we get to the next caller, Rob, I did want to say too, you had mentioned that its face had changed quite drastically, and I meant to address this when you were still on the line. But I do want to say that I used to work in corrections for a number of years back in the day, and it always amazed me how people could change their very physical description when they were just full of rage. They would look peaceful and calm, and then when you saw that same person flipping out, it would look like they weren't even quite the same person. And I don't mean to trivialize what you experienced. It very well may have been more than that, but I always was amazed by that back in the day. And, perhaps that could be part of what you saw was just the whole face contorted by rage and how much it transforms their face, because of course they're not people. But I know people faces can change really drastically. Well, God only knows what their faces can change when they're trying to be intimidating. I mean, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Not that I'm saying it was just a matter of anger. Maybe it was so much more than that, but I just wanted to put that on the table as well. And thank you both, Travis and Rob. I appreciate your kind words. But we got one more call here, and let's get to that person because they've been on hold for quite a while. So let's see. And this is area code 650. You are on the air.
Hello, first-time caller,
Hey.
long-time listener.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for calling in and being part of the show. Who are we talking to?
This is Forest Advisor.
Forest Advisor, good to hear from you, brother. What's going on tonight?
Yeah, so I like the topic about the spirits of the forest.
Uh-huh.
And I am very connected to the forest. And I would like to share an experience that I had.
Well, please do.
And so I was invited to the res, and we were in this circle that was around this fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't during ceremony or anything like that. It was casual, very casual.
Okay.
And so a bunch of people and I were just, around the fire. I would say about 10 people. And then suddenly I heard from the side in the bushes, something big was in the bushes. And I looked over there, and everybody looked over there. Everybody heard it. And they're like, what's going on here, right?
Right.
And suddenly there's this, to me, it looked like a black panther that shot out of these bushes. It could have been a puma. It was, it was dark,
Sure.
mountain lion.
Right.
And it jumped out of these bushes, and it ran right past us, like right behind my back, in fact.
Oh, my God.
And it attacked this spider, like this giant spider-like tentacle anemone kind of thing. And it was on this tree.
Oh, my God.
And it devoured that thing. And I was like, oh, gosh. Okay. I was like, just play dead, right? I didn't know what to do.
Right.
You play dead when that's what I've always been told with wild animals. Play dead, right? You can't outrun them.
Right.
There's no way I could outrun this thing. And so I laid down, gathered my courage, laid down, and I played dead. And suddenly I could hear the steps of this panther, this wildcat, coming towards me.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is it. Am I going to fight or flee? What am I going to do?
Right.
What am I going to do?
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay. I don't know. It's like, you think you're going to fight when, but when it really happens, I was kind of frozen in fear.
Right.
Fear for my life.
Absolutely.
And it got closer and closer, and it rested on my chest.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, we're family.
Oh, very cool.
And it was like, it was my protector.
Sure.
And so at this point, I started hearing this, like something was moving fabric. And it was like very vigorously moving fabric, and it was shouting my name, come out, come out, come out. My first name's Ronald.
Okay.
Come out, come out, come out, Ronald, come out, right? So I'm like, what? You know, so I unzip my tent, and she's like, look at the moon. And I'm like, looking at the moon, and it's like, there's 12 moons.
Oh,
Like
wow.
12 moons, and some of them were full, some of them were half, you know, all sorts of cycles of the moon. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, like, I see out of the corner of my eye, there were these, like, beings that were, I don't want to say men, but, you know, they weren't, like, what we would stereotype as alien either. They were just beings. And they were holding a projector of some sort, kind of like, you know, a film crew, you know, where you have the director and the cameraman or whatever,
Yep.
and they were projecting on these moons. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not real. This isn't real. And then poof, I wake up, and I'm still in the res. And my time is the morning.
So all of this was
now
a
that
dream?
was my first encounter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was all a dream. However, it was just too real to be a dream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was my first encounter with what I know now as the Black Panther. And this Black Panther has been with me through many journeys since. It has become one of my spirit guides, my spirit guides of the forest. And it's just important for me because it came from the forest, and it also was on a reservation,
right,
which is sacred land.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to share that.
That's really, really powerful. Now, before this, did you have any affinity towards the cats anyway? Or is this all new?
No.
Okay.
No, I thought the eagle was my spirit guide.
Okay. And did you ever find
And in some ways it was.
Sure.
But in the tradition that I'm practice, 4 times, if the spirit guide shows itself to you, in particular animal spirit guide shows itself to you 4 times in a ceremony, then they believe, and I believe, that it is claiming you as they want to work with you. This spirit animal wants to work with you. It wants to show you something. And in a way, it's like your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's our ancestors is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to mention earlier, I heard the gentleman talk about the being that he saw, and he posted a picture of it, and you showed it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I've seen a being like that in particular during ceremony, and from what I have gathered, it's known as a caboclo.
Caboclo.
And the cabocolos they originate from Africa.
Okay.
And over, the years, it's been brought to Brazil, and there are many traditions that recognize and invoke even the cabocolos into the ceremonies. And at first, these cabocolos, they seem also known as orishas. At first, they're kind of frightening at first because they're like shadow people, It's like
right.
we humans, we stereotype a lot.
Sure.
And we put labels on things a lot, like, oh, that's evil. Well, that's evil because it looks evil.
Right.
Well, maybe that's not the right way to think of things. And so how are these spirit guides and our ancestors, in fact, able to present themselves to us if we're going to label them by the way they look. So that's one thing that I've definitely had to learn, and I encourage others to learn that as well.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I've learned that it's not how they look, it's what they ask for. So if I see this creepy looking, goblin thing, but it's telling me to be a better person,
Mm-hmm.
to be more respectful, to, have a better diet, hey, those are all good things. It doesn't matter how he or she looks.
That's a great point.
However, if it's saying, I can give you some power, I just need a little bit of your blood, or, something, like that. What we have to understand is that pretty much all of us,
Mm-hmm.
we have an ancestry line that goes back so far to where society was obsessed with blood sacrifices to their deities.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some entities that we run into that, align with that. And, they're part of our ancestral line. We have benevolent ancestors and we have malevolent ancestors.
Sure.
And it really matters on what are they asking for. And I've just I don't agree. I don't make any pacts. I don't make any agreements. I don't make any of that.
Okay.
That's one of the differences between shamanism and sorcery.
Okay.
Shamanism allows the elements and the spirits to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
Sorcery demands and, makes pacts, makes agreements. So just remember, no agreements. Okay, a benevolent entity, spirit guide, they just want you to be a better person. They don't want any other kind of energy from you.
That's very cool. Very good advice. I like that. So you're on a shamanistic path then?
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yes, in particular, ayahuasca shamanism.
Okay, fantastic. So it's based out of the Amazon.
Of the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Now, yeah, light.
So when you
definitely on the side.
A lot of times people say that spirit animals they encompass certain traits and certain strengths, one versus the other. And did it make sense to you once you became aware that the Black Panther or cat was your spirit animal? Did that make sense to you? Did it seem to fit, or was it a real surprise?
At first, it was a surprise, and
Sure.
then I learned that the way that they present themselves, the way that, they don't just romp around the woods attacking everything.
Sure.
They watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to watch. And, I learned how to watch the guardians, which are the elders.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned how to watch the elders, and I learned by their example. And I learned during ceremonies sometimes people forget where they're at, and there might be a little bit of paranoia will come up, and as watchers, we need to watch that to make sure that paranoia doesn't go too far to where they start to be distracting within the ceremony. And the Black Panther spirit has really helped me with that, as far as when to act and when to just sit back and watch.
And one other question I have for you is, did you ever figure out what that black tentacled thing was embodying, or what was that representing?
Nope.
Yeah, that's a bizarre one,
I do not.
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
Fear of the forest, it's a society implant. It's been implanted into our minds from society. Society has taught us to be afraid of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood is a lot to do with it, but also, stories, our own minds. We get into our own heads, and for some reason we tell ourselves lies of horrible things happening in the forest. I can tell you, there are many people that have done many vision quests, and things have appeared, but really there's nothing. If you're going with the correct intentions, the right mood, and in a abandoned forest, and in a forest that where there's no people, there's really nothing to fear.
Sure.
People are what makes the forest dangerous, but the forest in itself,
now,
from my experience and from many others that I know,
sure,
there's really nothing to fear.
Now, I would probably add a little bit to that though, because I think that you're right in most ways. However, I think that the difference is people entering in a spirit of harmony with the forest, or in the spirit of healing, or of learning. Then the forest welcomes them. But if they come in contrary to that energies of the forest, then they may have a much more negative experience. And that's not universal, but I'm just saying, that I think that there are things out there that do protect the forest, and they can be extraordinarily intimidating. And oftentimes, I think you're right. I think that people maybe experience things that they in their Western sensibilities are absolutely terrifying, but when looking at it more holistically, or in the natural order of things, are just more bouncers, so to speak.
Oh yes, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, intention is everything.
Right.
For example, I knew this lady. She was on a vision quest, and she was praying to the Great Spirit, and suddenly what she thought was a little fox came up to her, and it's dark. There's no light.
Sure.
You just have moonlight, so our eyes tell us that there's a fox in front of us. And she's like, "Oh, come here, fox. You want to come pray with?" And it turned out it was a coyote.
Oh, the tricksters.
But it didn't harm her. Yeah, it didn't harm her.
Wow. That is cool. Very, very cool, man. I really appreciate you calling and being a part of the show, and sharing your experience and your insights with us. I think that the one thing I love about the portal is that it's always been a discussion. We don't claim any absolutes, because I don't think any of us really know absolutely. But once we, share thoughts and ideas and wisdoms, then we can all grow from that. And I think this is definitely one of those calls that I think all of us are learning something from.
For sure, brother. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. Have a great night, and thanks for being a part of tonight's show.
All right. It was great talking to you.
Okay, man. Have a great night.
All right, bye.
That's wonderful, man. I just love the participation. To me, that makes the whole journey of the portal so worthwhile. Before I started doing this show, I thought I had a pretty good handle on things. I thought I kind of had things sorted out, and I didn't claim to know everything, and I never will. But I thought I understood a lot. But I'm here to tell you, in this journey, in speaking to so many of you and hearing your thoughts and seeing your emails and your stories and your experiences, I have learned so much throughout the course of the show that it's absolutely insane. And maybe I'm a little insane anyway, but you know what I mean? It's like, this is an experience that we all, I think, grow from, and to some degree. And if you only listen for entertainment, then that's fantastic. And I love that. And I hope you always find the show entertaining. But if you also walk away with maybe a better grasp of things, or at least a different viewpoint of things, then that to me is beautiful. And you guys are the ones making the show beautiful. I just show up and turn on the lights, and you guys make it magic. I mean, that's very much the case. From all of the amazing guests we've had on, to all the amazing phone calls and emails and the chat rooms, especially. it's just been just an epic journey. But I'm always humbled. Oh, thank you, Haxer. I appreciate that. And I saw someone in the chat earlier saying, this 2-hour shows make me. Oh, I think it was you, Haxer. You said 2-hour shows are making you wish for 4-hour shows. And I saw there was some agreement in the chat room, and it's like, oh man. So I think you guys are starting to plan my life for me, which is awesome. I love that you want to hear more of the portal. I often worry, especially with the addition of the bedtime stories. It's like, well, am I doing too much? Are people just going to be, oh yeah, well, but I've just been absolutely humbled by the fact that so many people are coming over and over and over to be a part of the shows, and it's just magic to me. So you guys are beautiful. Thank you so much for all of that. Ooh, Duke erased a message. What'd you say, Duke? I see Brian Sullivan message retracted. Uh-oh. Oh, well, but I just got to continually thank you guys for making this amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sphinx Silinx. That's awesome. Hanging out with you is fun. Well, I appreciate that. Spider Pig, Charlotte's Web. I don't know what you're talking about, Duke, but I'm sure there's a story to that. But I again, it's just growing so amazingly, and you guys are to thank for all of that. But I'm gonna try to squeeze in we got about 4 minutes left of the show, so I'm gonna squeeze in another story if I may, if I can find one that's reasonably. Yeah, this one will work. This one's wow. I don't know if I'm going to do that one. Let's see. This one, God, I've got them from all over the world here. I'm trying to find at least a country that I know people are listening from if they're going to be all over the world. There's Indonesia. That's funny. Tomorrow's my wife's birthday. So I got to tell you guys this. This is kind of funny. Tomorrow's my wife's birthday, and so the minion and I went out doing some errands, and I said, we're going to go over to the store and get mommy a cake and stuff, and a card and all that. And we got done, and he's 3 years old. And you guys saw him if you watched last night's show. He co-hosted for a bit with me last night. It was a lot of fun. But I said, no, don't tell mommy. Don't tell her, because we want it to be a surprise on her birthday. Okay. I've never asked him to do anything like that before, so I didn't know how it would work out. But we got home, and this is a 3-year-old that wanted to run in and just tell mommy everything that happened. I mean, it was just, oh, hey, mom. But he came in, and you could see the struggle in this poor little child. And he tried his hardest to keep that secret, but he might have made it 10 minutes before I heard him in the other room whispering. He's like, Mommy, we got you a cake. So he knew to do it quietly so that I wouldn't hear it. But it was really cute. And I was like, that's fine. It was really adorable. And I kind of felt bad that I put that on him, but it was for fun. It's for a fun reason. But just seeing the struggle this poor little guy went through to try to hold this secret in, it was just too much. He just couldn't do it. It was great. So, oh yeah, I'll thank you, Nelly. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's adorable. It was funny, but it was, just to see that poor little 3-year-old that wanted to share the world with his mommy once we got home, and he just didn't know what to do. He was looking at me and looking at the ground, looking at me, and he was just having a battle. But he did pretty good for a while, and it's okay. It was cute. So that's tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to have time for a story now. Yeah, we only got 1:46. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure to stick around and tune in for Nikki Colombo's show coming up next. She's an amazing person from down under. She's from Australia, and she's got this infectious energy and the most amazing laugh. I mean, when she starts laughing, I can't help but laugh. And I keep saying that over and over, but she's just one of those bright lights. And I've never met her. I don't know her at all, but just listening to her, it's like, wow, that's great. So if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, stick around, because Nikki Colombo will be coming up next with her show. And she says tonight they have Christine Dennett, and also known as Kasara ET artist, on the show. And so definitely tune in and check it out if you're into the extraterrestrial stuff. Nikki's also an experiencer and a knower, so She's always got great information. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow night with Mr. Longbeard, and we'll get into some paranormal mayhem on tomorrow night's show. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, whatever you choose to do with it. And thank you for making the portal just an amazing journey and experience, and for being amazing, incredible people. So take care, everybody. Be good. And I will see you tomorrow night with Don for Saturday's edition. Sweet dreams.